So, hi everyone, I'm Maylis again. Really nice to see you. So, I'd like you to welcome Aisha. So, Aisha has kindly agreed to join our conversation today to share her story. Hi, Aisha.
Hello.
Awesome. So, sticking again with this topic, so how Andrew introduced it, we're really focusing on framing a story. And I guess the first question for you, Aisha, is what can you tell us about your own story and the different roles you found yourself playing, performing? So, just a bit of a trailer.
I like a little bit of a thriller. So for me, it's been quite like a bit of a journey. So I find myself playing roles that I thought others wanted to see me in, whether this was like influenced by my family, the religion. So part of my family are Muslim and quite conservative. So it's trying to kind of play roles that, like what a Black female Muslim should be like, kind of influenced by the culture and the fact that I am not kind of I don't make the decision in my life. But I came past that and I'm in a place now where I'm able to be myself, play all the roles that I want to play, because that's who I am as opposed to what anybody else wants to see or wants me to be.
Mm, that's really powerful, actually. And I think more to the context of now taking ownership and taking charge of the script, so to speak. We've been talking about how important it is to really recognize, the part that we play in the world, actually, even in order to drive impact. So, looking back at all of the background that you've just, painted for us, I'm wondering if we can just dive a bit deeper and explore, an aspect of transformation. So maybe we can talk about if there was a specific dream at some point that you wanted to change.
So in terms of starting like from my childhood, I was born in London, and then at the early age of about one, my parents decided to move me to Nigeria because they felt that it was important to understand where I came from, the culture, and there's always this weird narrative within like African families that people in the UK don't know who they are. They don't have a sense of culture or respect. These are all kind of things that perception that, this is not what we want you to be, but instead, by going to Nigeria, you'll be able to be a better person or be that kind of black, very black figure that you should be. It's almost like when black people, my family hear the word gay, they go, oh, that's a white thing. That's not something black people are. And that goes the same with mental health. There's been numerous kind of Nollywood, kind of reality TVs and films that show this. Anybody who shows any signs of mental health, what they say is they're crazy, and also it's because of witchcraft. So they must have done something in their past, there's some kind of curse on them for showing any sign of mental health, for being depressed, for, I don't know, just not being okay. So that means that there's something wrong with you and you have to, Black people are not this way. Black people should be courageous and get on with it. It's almost been instilled this narrative that as Black and brown people, we have life harder. And because it's harder, we don't have a choice but to rise upon that. We can't be weak at all. Um, so that's kind of always been something that has always played on my mind. And especially in academia, you have to be a doctor, you have to be the best. The grades can never be lower than that expectation. For me, like I guess some kind of Black or African families, it's like you must be a doctor. If you're not a doctor, this is not the role you can play in society. So, I mean, as I said, I was quite fortunate that I did have time in Nigeria to get to know that side of my family and that society and that culture. And there are definitely some positive aspects of it, but there is a lot of damaging things that circulates that whole country. And also, I mean, that west side of Africa, I mean, part of my family are also from Ghana. So the narrative kind of flows from the west to the east to south, and
Yeah.
especially up north where you have predominantly kind of Muslim people who tend to live there. And so for me, it's like I did try to move away from that. And the one thing that made me do that at the beginning is I realized I was different. And being different in a very conservative Muslim background is very hard to get away from. And I was fortunate that my mom realized at the age of 10, she was like, okay, you need to come back to the UK because I'll prefer you to finish the rest of your school there. You now know where you're from. And, you know, I grew up with some of my extended family. But I realized that in order for me to be myself, I could not be in that society. But when I came to the UK, to London, I thought this would be different. You know, I'm in a place where it's far more liberating. I can be who I am, you know, and in a way, you know, the way the Western world is promoted is that this is the place you should be to be a better person, to get money, to be wealthy. You know, there's this massive weird propaganda about what it is to be in the West. You know, it's a better place than anywhere else in the world to be. If it's not the UK, you need to head off to the US, the land of the free.
Yes. And if I may kind of interject here, Aisha, because you just touched on some really important things. You said not only did you paint a picture of two completely different, you know, mentalities, societies, and I myself are also from West Africa, so I completely understand where you're coming from. But you talked about being yourself, and also even the arrival in the UK and how you thought that things were potentially going to be different, but that you were also confronted with a different reality. So now I'm wondering, internally, as someone who's aware of their difference, like what was your own self-talk like? Like what were you telling yourself about yourself in this situation?
So for me, like internally, I just thought that I could be better. I could be better than what that society has given me and shown me. You know, as I said, the positive aspect was the fact that people are a lot more generous. They're more welcoming. You know, even when they have nothing. So it really taught me a high sense of compassion. So when I came to the UK, it was difficult to see that that was not the case as much here. You know, there were certain issues that I faced that I didn't like ever conceive that would happen, such as the fact that how Black, kind of dark-skinned women are treated as. You know, back in Nigeria, you're around other Black people. People are telling you you're beautiful. You're looking at, I guess, various media channels, and you see Black people, and you see what Black beauty looks like. But here, that was something I didn't kind of anticipate what happened. That was kind of one of my struggles of thinking, oh, maybe I'm not beautiful here. I have to be light skinned or white in order to do so. They have that, there's this conflict of self-confidence, but also realizing I'm queer. And it's like, where does a Black queer person sit in both societies?
So in saying all of this then, with recognizing your own inner conflicts and also seeing what's happening on the outside, is there a specific direction that you wanted to take with your life? And if so, you know, what new alternatives did you have to kind of construct or even imagine in order to move forward?
It kind of, the things I started imagining was using academia as a way to be myself or to be free. So, for example, you know, getting whatever grades I needed to have in order to get into university, but also what do I want to do once I'm there? Is thinking of, it was weird. I saw it more as a big escape. You know, I've been trapped by several things that have been holding me down, but I have this kind of door, which once I'm out there, once I'm on the other side, I can do and be whoever I wanted.
Wow. And that seemingly, you know, when we're conceptualizing these ideas and even imagining a different future for ourselves, I don't know about you, but I know there's an emotional charge that comes with it. So I'm wondering from your side, looking at this future, what were the emotions that were coming up? And I don't want to put words in your mouth, but can you just describe a bit how you were feeling at that time with that vision of the future?
Excited. I mean, I was so excited. It was something that I wanted for so long, but also I was scared because I was worried it was never going to happen. Yeah, and it recharged me in a way to also feel that there's hope and to kind of keep going. Because once I do, it all be kind of over, not, in terms of the conflict within myself.
Mm, mm. And what I'm hearing is that, there was joy, excitement, but also fear. And in this medley of emotion, how would you say that your inner Shiro, actually, let's call her Shiro, how did she
Yeah.
manifest in this process?
Um, do you know what I felt really helped me was sports. I think that's just a way to, of course, recharge, but to be able to just get all that endorphin kicking around. Because after a good sport session of anything, I mean, for me, I played football and I particularly liked it because of the sense of camaraderie that it gives you, being part of a team, hearing positive feedback. Although you think, oh, that's just a sport, but those are things that really help build your confidence in any other setting. So that's how, like, these little things started kind of adding up. What I love doing, and as I said, I learned to be very compassionate, is volunteering. So I was volunteering for numerous charities such as asylum seekers and refugee charities. And that also helped within my journey, because once you're volunteering, you're not just helping those people, they end up helping you more than you ever would realize. Because I was fortunate to just be born here, to have a passport that means I can return and have a better life. But I knew the struggle of so many other international refugees who did not have that. Settling in the UK, not speaking the same language. Even though I spoke English, I struggled because my English was very broken.
Mm.
We call it broken English, and a lot of people might not understand it. And the fact that I couldn't speak in the same way as I'm supposed to, it kind of made me go back into my shell again. I became very shy and very withdrawn and very reserved, just because I was like, well, if I talk, it's not going to be in the right way. If in any setting, I'm never going to fit in.
Yeah, yeah. And it's a beautiful thing that you talked about here, because it's like, even as you were taking these steps to, I wouldn't say necessarily integrate, but almost like build a life where you could feel more confident. You were talking about resources like football, physical resources, some spaces where you could have camaraderie, and volunteering, places where you could give back and almost like amplify your compassion. But you also didn't kind of say that all of the discomfort was gone. You also mentioned that, yeah, you still had these insecurities that were coming up, but almost it seems like you were challenging yourself to move forward. And in that, I think, just to sum up this conversation, I've got one last question, which is, so when you're leading with your inner hero, when you're leading with this Shira, when you're fully embodied within her, like, how does it feel? Like, please describe a day where you're literally in that.
It feels unstoppable. Like, I feel just elevated, and I feel whole, if that makes sense. Because yeah, when kind of my Shiro, like being in this place, I've been with her, I've been with myself. I just feel free. A lot of burden has been lifted, burden from, past traumas and different things that happened to me along the way. I just feel free. And, now being in my 30s, I'm able to kind of get away from that and just do whatever the hell I want to do.
I love that.
With no regrets. And that's why it's kind of brought me to also be part of UK Black Pride, to help advance the movement and to inspire the younger generation and people right now who are going through a similar journey, or a different one, but need that support.
Mm. Thanks so much, Aisha. I'm not going to keep blabbing on for any longer, but I guess if anyone has any questions, feel free to kind of raise your hand. Anything you want to ask Aisha, just, yeah, feel free.